Hello Horror Hounds, welcome to my horror house. Yesterday, Prey, the 7th film in the Predator franchise, was released to streaming. It didn't drop, it was released, and I watched it and I really liked it. I've seen reviews and Twitter reactions and the like that have been really effusive with their praise, calling it the best sequel, the best movie since the first, the best movie in the whole of the Predator franchise. And I think it's maybe worthwhile pumping the brakes just a little bit on that. I guess perhaps some people are excited to have a genuinely good Predator movie released again. So in all the hullabaloo, this is kind of the age where things either have to be the best thing ever or absolutely suck. And it's not quite that. What it is, I think, it's a really strong standalone movie, engaged my interest, kept me excited, that just so happens to also be a Predator movie and also happens to be a really good Predator movie. It is set in 1719. If you've seen the trailer, you know everything you need to know. We follow a woman from a Comanche tribe of Native Americans who is sort of being guided towards the role of being a healer within the tribe. She's got an excellent knowledge of medicine, but what she really wants to be is the hunter, and she goes out to try and prove herself. And while she's out in the wilds, she believes she's come across evidence that there is something out there, something dangerous, something we've never come across before, and the tribe is in danger, and people sort of poo-poo that. This is one of the strengths of the movie, how stripped back it is. It is, in many ways, a sort of return to the well of the original film, which can be summed up really simply. A group of the best military commandos go into the jungle and suddenly find themselves face to face against a technologically superior alien threat. And how do they cope? We're going back in time, stripping away all the technological resources that Arnie and his team had for the original movie, and we really get to see, how in this scenario does someone face off and potentially survive against a predator. And I loved the way it played out. I really liked our main character, Naru. One of the things I really appreciated about her is, even though she desperately wanted to be taken seriously as a hunter amongst the tribe, while she's certainly skilled, she's not straight off the bat just the most badass Matrix-style hunter out there. She has to learn. She has her failings. And sometimes her ambition exceeds her grasp. And I really liked that character having the opportunity to grow and learn. Amber Midthunder, who plays her, is bang up to the task. She's so watchable. She's there are times when, because her character observes and learns, and there are times when the camera is just on her face and you're watching her reacting. And parts of the film are really excellent examples of show don't tell, although it doesn't adhere completely to that. I think if they'd have wanted to, they could really have had whole sections of this movie be dialogue free, where you really don't need to explain anything to the audience, and the audience will keep up. But then we're entering sort of territory of potentially an art house, a more art house Predator movie, and I don't think the money behind that would have been fully on board. So the sort of mid-ground balancing act we got there, I really enjoyed. If you pay attention to the movie, you'll figure out what's going on and what's there. There are a few lines of dialogue here and there to steer you in the right direction if you're not paying too much attention. But on the whole, the setting, the character, the vibe of the place, I loved it. Then you just got the icing on the cake of plopping a predator down into that and then seeing how fucked up that situation can get, which again, I hate to keep going back to it, is kind of like the ethos of the first movie. Let's have a really gung-ho sort of commando action style movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger at the helm, and all of a sudden, oh shit, there's this freaking predator alien here, and what the hell's going to happen now? I have, as an aside, always wondered whether the predators necessarily play fair. They're always so tooled up and so high tech, beyond our capabilities, that the real world analogy seems to be perhaps these sort of big game trophy hunters, these sort of scumbags who pose with elephant and giraffe corpses and lion corpses and stuff like that after having shot them from so far away it's ridiculous with high-powered velocity rifles. One of the things I appreciated in this movie is, yes, whilst the Predator is technologically advanced, it almost seems, and this isn't canon, but it almost seems as if this might be this species' first foray onto this planet, or at least that this predator hasn't been given any foreknowledge of the wildlife that exists on this planet, because the predator is sort of itself watching and observing and seeing what hunts what, and there are snakes and there are wolves and there are bears and the like. So it seems to be scouting out to try and identify the biggest, the baddest threat, so it can sort of go toe to toe with it rather than just. And I really appreciated seeing a predator fighting pretty much fist fighting with a bear, where it genuinely seemed like, oh hey, the predator could come off worse in this. The predator could genuinely lose. This seems like a fairer fight. This seems like a better test for the predator. The alien itself looks superb. It is a redesign. It's a redesign in look and it's a redesign in tech. If you want to, you can maybe explain away the fact that it's set in so far in the past. Maybe the technology that we see the predators have in the Arnie movie and the like doesn't exist yet. Or maybe you could argue, if you wanted, that since the predator is here at a point where we as a species are less technologically advanced, it doesn't want to give itself too much of an advantage. I thought the predator's gadgets, because this retooling gives you the opportunity to have some familiar stuff but also some new stuff, I loved it. The redesign, I actually think it looks superb. We're back to a much taller, more sinewy, leaner predator than maybe some of the wrestler-looking predators, the big bulky wrestler-looking predators in the AVP films. Very much going back again to the look that Kevin Peter Hall gave the Predator in the first movie, except the design of it is, whilst it's clearly still a Predator, it looks new and fresh. Dare I say, it even looks more horror to my eyes. And I genuinely loved everything about that alien. The new helmet, which is more of a bone thing, just covering a portion of the face so you can still see the mandibles, is an excellent piece of design. I absolutely loved it. The film is brutal and bloody. I believe it's an R-rated movie. You won't be disappointed. Limbs come off, heads come off, bodies get eviscerated and exploded. One of the things that I found interesting, a sort of stylistic touch, is it's very bloody without being sort of extreme gore. There are lots of instances where, say, a predator will come in to take off a head and the camera will just pan out, so you don't see a beheading, but then the head comes back into frame afterwards. You know exactly what's happened. You just don't see the coup de grace. You don't see bodies get torn to pieces necessarily, but you always know exactly what's going on. And there were enough times of sort of predator on human violence that made me go, ooh. And there were enough times that humans got their licks in on the alien that I thought, yeah, this does seem fair. This doesn't seem like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm keen to see how this is going to play out. Obviously, ultimately, narrative convention being what it is, you would expect nothing less. Naru, our main character, faces off against our predator, and the face-off is exciting and it's satisfying. It gave me absolutely everything I wanted. What I will say is that the pace of the movie is very sedate at first. It takes its time for about an hour. It sets you in the world. It introduces you to your characters. and then they go out and she specifically goes out and explores. And whilst I was absolutely happy and comfortable to get immersed in that world and go along on that ride, I do wonder how quickly I will return to it, knowing that there's that slow build up at the start. I think it's to the service of the film, but if you want a quick jolt of sort of a Predator caffeine rush or a Predator sugar high, I'm not entirely convinced you would go straight to Prey. I think Prey will be best served if you fancy doing a sort of a Predator marathon, and then it will sit really nicely in with sort of your pick of the crop, or all of them if you want to watch them. The best thing I can say about Prey is that it has instantly made me want to go and rewatch some other Predator movies. And honestly, I'm not the Predator's biggest fan, so I haven't been super keen to revisit the Predator franchise for years and years and years and years. But Prey has made me want to check out certainly the first film, definitely the second film, because I actually think Predator 2 is an unsung gem. I love that sequel. I think it's a really strong sequel. One of the things that really tickled me about Prey is that there is an Easter egg in Prey which ties directly into Predator 2, and I love it for that, because I also love Predator 2. The first Alien vs Predator film, for what it's worth, I think is a good piece of knockabout fun. That's the sort of bubblegum Predator movie. It's the bubblegum Alien movie. If you want a sort of adrenaline hit of just Predator action, AVP is probably the one to go to. AVP Requiem, whilst it's a really nasty, dark, grim sort of story, it's also actually dark and you can't see what's going on, which is incredibly frustrating. Predators, with the S at the end, I think that film's reputation grows as each year passes. I've always liked it. I think it's fun. It's a nice twist on the Predator story. I'm always happy to watch it when it comes on. The Predator, most recently, I just thought was hot garbage, and I might watch it if I really want to turn my brain off and just try and blank out all the juvenile slurs that Shane Black has peppered that movie with, and I don't understand why he's done it, because he's proven that he's outgrown that, I think. So I think that script-wise was a real regression for Shane Black. Anyway, enough of that. I think Prey stands, for me, maybe just below Predator 2, maybe on a par with Predators, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, probably on a par with Predators, but know that I rate Predators a lot. I'm not actually sure whether I rate Predator 2 above the first one or not. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch them. I think I might prefer Predator 2, but there you go. That's my own silly take of which is the best Predator movie in the franchise. Everyone's got their own opinions, and if there are people out here that love this new one and think it's the best, fantastic. They've just got an excellent new film that they've fallen in love with.
I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.